We're back. Time for another edition of the Carolina Insider Rapid Reactions edition. As the Tar Heels, for the third consecutive game, don't just win, but they never trail. They led Virginia 21-2 and end up winning 81-66. Virginia did get back in the ball game, got it to 7 a couple of times, but no closer. As the Tar Heels get 5 players in double figures, a double-double from Jalen Withers, and end up winning it again by 15. Rapid Reactions presented by our friends at Modelo. I'm Jones, he's Adam. And Adam, another quality performance by Carolina. The Tar Heels playing some of their better basketball of the season, and it continued this afternoon in the Smith Center.
And we understand that the level of competition is not quite what it was at other points of this season.
Sure.
But I also think it's fair to say that the level of play from the Tar Heels team-wide is higher than it was at some other junctions of this season. Hubert Davis will talk about it with you later, but Carolina just looks more like a basketball team right now than just a group in which one or two guys goes off and keeps you close. It just feels like more of an all-5 effort right now.
You said this, Adam, after the State game, and I can't remember if it was on our Rapid Reaction show or if it was on the regular Carolina Insider podcast. You said the Tar Heels right now maybe don't always have their best, quote-unquote, 5 players on the floor at the same time, but the 5 that they have out there at any given time seem to fit together better. And I think that's a little bit about what you were just saying right then, too, is that they're getting more contributions from more people. I mean, Withers and Jackson today were a combined 10 of 15 from the floor and 7 of 9 from 3. Obviously, that's incredibly efficient shooting, but they were impactful. I mean, Withers in particular, with 11 rebounds, 4 of them offensive, had an assist, just 1 turnover. Just some really good play up and down the lineup, and Withers in particular this afternoon was good.
And I think the question that I was sitting there asking myself was, if Carolina had shot, say, 5 of 16 from 3 instead of 9 of 16 from 3, would I still feel like this was a better team? And I think I would, but it's foggy because whenever those threes go in, you start thinking, this team's great. Jalen Withers is not going to shoot 4 of 6 from 3 every single night. Ian Jackson isn't going to shoot 3 of 3 from 3 every night. But the Tar Heels are starting to get to the free throw line again. 22 free throw attempts tonight, and they made 18 after that stretch where they just weren't taking any free throws. I think this is closer to the group that Hubert Davis had in mind.
Adam will speak with Jalen Withers coming up in just a moment. I will talk with Coach Davis as well as the Tar Heels get the win over Virginia. One last thing before we get to those interviews. Now, NC State and Virginia have been the last 2 opponents, and if I'm not mistaken, they are near the bottom, if not the bottom 2 in the ACC in rebounding margin. Having said that, the Tar Heels have been not just a little bit better on the glass. They've been dominant on the glass these last couple of games, these last 2 in particular. Plus 14 in the rebounding category in this game. They outscore Virginia 17-2 in second chance points, and those second chance points have really been big in these back-to-back blowouts over State and Virginia.
11 offensive rebounds for Carolina in the game. 2 of them came from Withers during that stretch where he just refused to give up in the second half, kept going after misses in a way that I think everyone's wanted him to for 2 years. But I think the other part of the offensive rebounding that's sustainable is Drake Powell at the 3, where he can get some of those offensive rebounds. He only got 1 tonight, but it felt like he tapped a couple others. You know, Van Allen Lubin's going to get a couple, sometimes off his own misses, but those also count. That's what Armando Bacot told us.
Oh, yeah.
So the offensive rebounding to me is more encouraging than the overall rebounding. But as you said, the rebounding opposition the last 2 games has not been the best in the league.
Also, and I said there was only one more thing, but I do want to mention Ian Jackson. He went through a difficult stretch shooting the ball. At one point was 0 for 11 in back-to-back games. He has woken back up offensively, 5 for 7 from the floor, 3 for 3 from three-point range, finished with 16 points in this game. And Adam just scored in a lot of different ways, whether it was a catch-and-shoot 3, whether it was a nice move to drive to the basket, whether it was some of those step-back threes that he's so good at. He just found different ways to be effective.
He got the 16 points in just 17 minutes. on just 7 shots. It's not. We've seen him take a fair amount more shots than that. This was an incredibly efficient Ian Jackson, who I think he realized early on he liked the matchup he had, and he was going to take advantage of it when possible, and he did a great job of doing that.
Okay. We said we were going to get to the interview, so let's do it. I talked to Coach Davis. Adam talked to Jalen Withers, and you'll hear and see those. We'll come back and wrap things up here on the Rapid Reactions edition of the Carolina Insider presented by Modelo. Third consecutive game that Carolina not only wins but never trails in doing so. Tar Heels led this game 21-2 and end up winning it 81-66. Carolina had not scored more than 80 points against Virginia. It's been 19 straight games, but they do it today and win by 15. Coach, from the jump, your team looked energized, engaged, and played very well. What'd you see?
Yeah, they were ready to go. I was so proud of the way that we started the game. I just felt like, along with our discipline, with the energy and effort that you have to play in order to win games like this was on point to start the game. And with the exception of like self-inflicted like turnovers and technical fouls, I felt like, we outside of that, we played almost a flawless first half.
There have been many times in his career that if R.J. Davis went 3 of 14 from the floor and 0 of 4 from 3, that Carolina would have had trouble winning the game. And we know RJ's obviously a terrific player. Back-to-back games that he hasn't shot it great, and you guys have won pretty comfortably. What's been different in your mind in that regard?
Well, I think tonight he forgot that Reese Beekman wasn't on him. Who was one of the best defenders I've ever been around. But it just shows I really believe – I just feel like we're getting better. It doesn't all rely on RJ having a huge night, which we love. Other people are stepping up. Drake is stepping up. Ian, Jay Witt has, for 3 straight games, has been elite on both ends of the floor. And we're just getting positive play, positive minutes from so many different areas. Built on one person. It's a collection of guys coming together, trying to be the best that they can be. And I really feel like the last 3 games we've done that.
What in your mind's been the difference with Jay Witt? I mean, he double-double today, 11 rebounds. That's the season high. Obviously, he shot the ball well. What has engaged and ignited this with him in your mind?
That's a great question. Maybe, a lot of times when you can see the end, it maybe refocuses you and you're able to see things from a different perspective. I'm glad he is, because I've told him this from the start. When Jay Witt is out there on the floor and he's playing well on both ends of the floor, he completely changes our team. Just defensively, rebounding, offensively, he just changes our team completely for the good. And he's playing his best basketball at the right time.
You mentioned rebounding, big rebounding advantage in this game. Second straight game that you guys have really controlled the glass at 17-2, second chance point advantage. Today, what in your mind has prompted this really good effort on the glass here as of late?
It's interesting. I can't remember. I think it's 2009 championship. They were so gifted offensively. And defense, and then when they got to the NCAA tournament, they said, let's play some defense, and then they were beating everybody. Right. And from the start, we've said 3, 4, and 5 get to the offensive glass, and for the last 3 games, now we're going to the offensive glass and just giving us second chance opportunities. And this is where we can score 81 points. When we get to the free throw line, make our free throws, and then we get second cracks, getting second chance opportunities. And then you combine that with us in transition, now you can score 81 against a Virginia team that usually don't get to score that many points.
Tar Heels had 18 of 22 at the free throw line, just to back up what Coach was saying there. Coach, last thing, it's another one of these Saturday, Monday turnarounds. don't think Carolina felt good about the way it played on Monday last time. That was at Clemson. How do you guys make sure that you're locked in and ready to go in another difficult road trip to Tallahassee?
Yeah, I told them. I said the first time it was a Saturday-Monday game, we just didn't play very well for 3/4 of the game. And I said, look, tomorrow will be a very low impact physically, but it'll be high impact in terms of preparation and locking in on our attack and what we need to do against Florida State on their home floor. So dive into the preparation, be ready to go on Monday. We're excited about it.
Tar Heels will see the Seminoles Monday night, but for today, happy to have yet another high-quality win, 81-66 over Virginia in the Smith Center. Dave, that's Hubert Davis inside the Continental Tire Coach's Corner.
Alongside Jalen Withers, who's holding a stat sheet which tells him he just had his second double-double of the season and fourth as a Tar Heel. Jay Witt, you've been really good lately. Why is it working right now?
Somebody asked me that before the game, and I guess the easiest way to say it was kind of woke up. Big emphasis that HD's been making has been whatever it takes. And funny part is one of the managers, I think it was either JR or Jordan, she said that kind of spells out wit. So yeah, kind of embrace that and trying to make sure that I'm doing whatever it takes to get the dub.
What has that been to do differently? Like, what are you doing that it takes now that maybe you weren't doing 2 or 3 weeks ago?
I would say a lot more leadership, making sure that I'm sharp so that I can, relay the messages that the HD is having or that he's expressing. Maybe playing with a lot more energy, a lot more what's the word that I use for HD? I think I said I need to be more animated. So, like, show a little bit more emotion. I think my nonchalantness was really, really at the beginning of the season. So I think I'm showcasing more energy, more effort, more emotion.
In some ways, that nonchalantness is you, though. So how do you take that out when on the 40 minutes you're on the court and play the way Coach Davis is asking you to play?
That's what he told me mid-season. He was saying I got to leave it all on the court. That should be an escape from whatever I have going on off the court or whatever may be going on through my head. It's whenever you get in between those lines, just let everything go and just embrace the game.
As you've seen the results from that over the last 3 games, what does that do for you going forward?
I would say it's giving a little bit of momentum, and being efficient has been a big thing for me this year. Even though it's been ups and downs, but I said the best thing for me is just to keep that momentum, keep it going, stay efficient.
If Carolina's going to play this 2 big lineup, you have to rebound. You got, I think, 11 tonight, and 4 or 5 of them were on the offensive end. What are you doing differently on the glass?
I would say I'm putting myself in position to go get them, and if I do get a hand on them, making sure that I secure it.
This was a Carolina team that was playing close game after close game after close game for a long stretch of the season. Now you're having some comfortable wins. What's the difference?
The little things. That's something that HD's been really emphasizing, which was, the miscommunication on switches, taking bad shots, like just small things like that. That's really been the biggest focal point as far as I think getting us this lead and this win today.
How do you improve something like communication? If there were miscommunications previously, why are those not existing now?
I would say we've been forcing the guys or those that don't really talk as much or have more quiet personalities to, showcase a little bit more energy and effort and, like I said, emotion, so that it makes it to where everybody can feed off one another.
And that includes you, as you said, right?
For sure.
And that led to it's contagious, and that led to another big Tar Heel win. Carolina beats Virginia. Jay Witt with a double-double. Jalen, thank you.
Appreciate you.
So the Tar Heels now 17-11 overall, 10-6 in conference play, and suddenly not out of the question of a double bye in the ACC tournament. Still a game behind both Wake Forest and SMU. Feels like Duke and Louisville and Clemson probably going to get some double byes. That last spot likely to come down to SMU, Wake, Carolina, and Stanford. One of those 4 teams likely to get the other spot. That's long-term thinking. Adam, short-term thinking, and it's a short-term turnaround as the Tar Heels go to Tallahassee. They did, and I talked to Coach Davis about this. They had, I think, probably their worst performance of the season on a Saturday, Monday turnaround a couple weeks ago when they went to Clemson and just didn't look good and didn't look like even the team that, if they've lost, has battled. They didn't look like that team in that game. So I will be interested to see how they handle this turnaround differently against a dangerous Florida State team.
Clemson's better than Florida State, but Florida State has a lot of qualities that have given the Tar Heels trouble this year. And adding in the short turnaround and the fact that Carolina really didn't show up in Little John, Monday's dicey. And you're in this stretch where you have no cushion because you've played the cushion away. So Carolina's got to come out and win that game against an athletic, tall team at every position that will make things difficult and challenge some shots. So Tar Heels are going to have to come out and play.
Yeah, it's a big one Monday night, 7 o'clock. We'll be on the air radio-wise at 6 p.m. to get you ready for the Heels and the Noles. But for tonight, happy for Carolina. It's the Tar Heels' first time since the 2019 season that they have played 3 consecutive games in which they have won and not trailed. And they have beaten now Syracuse, NC State, and Virginia without trailing a second in any of those games. 81-66, the final tonight in Chapel Hill. Heels get the win. Thanks for being with us. Rapid Reactions edition of the Carolina Insider presented by Modelo.